It's Raquel. Welcome back to Recovery to Wellness, where survivors radiate badassery. It is currently August 13th, 2024, and I'm going to do a book review. I finally adjusted this scene because it was just my face before and it was really irritating me, and I still don't totally love the shot, but it's what will work with video book review. And these are still very new to me. I have filmed two others that I haven't posted, I haven't edited or uploaded yet, and now I'm gonna film this one. And as I did a short video, just filmed a short video of like a live announcement kind of thing for next week, but that might not mean anything to you because I'm not sure when I'll get this video out. So we are going to be talking about Secrets of Getting Your Book Published, 2003 by Elise Facon, and that is the book. So I'll hold it up there for a moment. This is just the tab. I got it from the library, so there we go. Getting your book published. It was published in 2003, so I'm not sure how much of the information within this book is still relevant and accurate from today's 2024 perspective. So with that kind of being said, I want to kind of talk you through my sort of process of reading this book, you know, why I picked it out from the library, what stood out to me, how long it sort of took me to read this book, because honestly it took me a long time to read this book, and kind of just some of my thoughts about that, and then also some of the things that I wrote already in the book review that I posted on my blog, which is the same username as here on WordPress, so Recovery to Wellness, RAQ, recoverytowellness.wordpress.com. You can feel free to check out the book review there. I have recently rebranded how I'm doing book reviews on my blog and doing the Recovery Reads report, which is the R3. So that came out after I posted them both yesterday. So with that being said, I'm still now that I'm doing Recovery Reads reports, I'm still trying to figure out where video book review sort of falls into that. I've also never actually watched anyone else do a video book review before, and I don't really read other people's book reviews on my blog on WordPress anymore either. I'm not very active on WordPress. It's probably one of my least active sites, I guess, technically. I think I'm most active on YouTube, Reddit, fan fiction accounts, probably WordPress, and then Instagram. Instagram I only use for like DMing people, so it's one person really. Let's be honest. But so it's not, WordPress stuff isn't something that I'm as up to date and active on as I once was back in the past. Something I do wish to change in the future, but I've never. So yeah, my point was that I haven't looked at other people and how they do book reviews. I haven't watched other YouTuber book reviews, so I don't know what I'm doing. So, which is pretty solid. It's pretty much defines my whole YouTube hobby, is I don't know what I'm doing. So that being said, so this book, I took this book out probably back in like February or so, 2024, maybe, I think February or maybe January at the most, at the even further back of that. I took it out because I thought that the title was interesting. The book would be interesting. I've never read about how to, publish books. I do wish to publish a book one day. I really do want to become a published author. Being an author is something that I've always wanted to be. Ever since I was like 9 years old, I always wanted to be a published author. I was actually working on like a novel when I was a teenager, but then I never finished it, and it was a whole thing. So I do love writing. I want to create a groups book. I want to create a memoir, a novel, and then probably like a collection of like poetry from like my high school days and like short stories and stuff, and then like maybe like another novel or whatever else. Right now at the time I am trying to just complete a fanfiction story. I write House MD fanfiction and Loki Centered Avengers fanfiction. And I have probably I guess technically on AO3 archive of our own, I have 22 stories. One of them I had to take down from fanfiction.net, but pretty much like 22 stories, and with like at least 5 others in progress that I haven't even like put out yet, but like are in progress. And I have probably like 22 stories, maybe 2 of which are complete, and then the rest of the 20 that are posted online are work in progresses. So I have a small habit of creating a lot of projects without actually finishing them. Most of my stories started back in 2016, so the writing process back then. For instance, A Little Unsteady, which is my most popular fanfic, and then also Stored and Disordered, which is also my second top most popular fanfic, both MCU stories. And then I have right now a house fanfic that's doing really well. It's my third upcoming one, and yeah, so it's a time. If you want to hear me talk about more about my fanfiction stories, or you know, maybe read some of those out loud to you guys on a video, because I can't make money off of it for sure because of copyright stuff, but you know, in the comments of this book review. But back to the book. We're gonna get off a whole other tangent. That's a whole other thing, but I would love to actually finish writing a fanfic one day, and I would also really love to get published. Originally, I was going to try to work on my memoir first, but because last year I was hospitalized as a psychiatric patient again, I am putting that even more on the back burner because, you know, all sorts of stuff that can come up with writing a memoir. So I instead am looking more towards creating a groups book. I want to do create a book compilation of all the groups I've been running pretty much already in the last, I guess the last like about the 3 years that I've been working at Althea, which is a psych hospital. And I want to put together, yeah, just a group. So I don't know if I want to do 50 groups or like 75 groups. I'm not really sure. And I would have to find an illustrator for it as well, which is a whole other sort of volcano to fall down under and such. But a lot of my writing nowadays goes into work and groups and documenting, and then also fanfiction stuff and Reddit stuff, and then YouTube description videos, and all of these creative avenues in a sense, which is exciting. So I think from reading this book, I'm not very interested in self-publishing. I'd rather go through a publishing house. I'm not sure if I would do a larger publishing house or one of the smaller ones. I think both are open for me right now. I also want to make sure that because I have such a track record of not finishing things that I start, or it takes me years of doing that, I definitely want to have something kind of pretty much a finished product by the time I look into a publisher and start writing the book proposal kind of thing. This book was also really good in sort of laying out the sort of different foundations and different factors. Also, book writing and like writing a book and then getting something published, there's like, I'm learning more and more as I get older how you sort of see like the person in the front, the stage presence in a sense, but there's like at least 20 other people behind the project. Like it's not just the one person that we're seeing, there's so many other people, so many other opinions, so many other thoughts, so many other ideas and such, and background and information and everything to that effect that goes into creating a final product like a book or a movie, or, you know what I mean? I just finished rewatching Iron Man. I mean, the whole list of all the, you know, digital artists or like the compositors and like the photographers and like the directors and all this kind of stuff. Like there's so many people that go into one project alone, and you just think about, I don't know, if I just think about how many people that is like in the world, like that's like so many people, and it's really exciting and really cool and really interesting. And I guess it's also kind of true because I think even on social media, like we see like, you know, the stage presence in a sense, but then we don't always consider all of the people that are behind them, their like management team, their PR team, like, you know, all these factors and facets. So it's very, very interesting in that sense. So I got that interesting perspective from this book and also I think, I don't know how it was back in 2003, but like there's definitely books that I've seen that I've read like within the last decade that are not very good. and really kind of shitty sometimes. And I'm like, if that book can exist, I should be able to get published too. Like, like it should be fine. Because like, even like, if you think about like pseudoscience and stuff, like the things that are like really like not even like, like so much. So I have probably a pretty good chance of getting published. If those can exist, if, you know, plot holes and issues and stuff can exist, then I should be able to get published. But I did like something I did like from this book was talking about how, really affirming and validating how everyone at some point, both in the past, in the present, and into the future, will receive a rejection letter. And it's really just kind of how it is for this industry, for publishing, and for probably other types of avenues and creation strategies and such. Yeah, so everyone's gonna experience getting a rejection letter at some point, and it's really just kind of keep going and keep persevering, not giving up, and just keep, you know, finding that person who does fit with you, or that team that does fit with you, and can get you to your dream of becoming a published author, or a director, or a filmmaker, or an artist, you know, all of those kinds of things, a small business owner, all of that. So I also rated this book by recommendation score, so there's also no trigger warnings for this book, which is great. And this is a nonfiction book, and I rated it a 2 out of 5, 5 being the best. So I rated it a 2 out of 5. It was like, there were definitely parts, especially in the beginning when I was reading this book, where I got really overwhelmed, and I got really like kind of freaked out, I guess, in a sense, and just kind of like, just really having to dread. I'm like, like I have to read this book, and I'm like, I really don't want to read this book, and then I'm just going to avoid, and I'm not going to read the book, and then months and months and months will go by, and all this kind of stuff. So I'm still getting back into reading books. This year I've read more books than I've read probably in the last, I'd say maybe like 3 or 4 years or so, which is very exciting, and very new and different, and something I am enjoying having my time be with. I haven't actually read a book in a while now again, but overall I do enjoy reading books. I love books. I think books are just so comforting to me. Libraries, I would go to a new place and visit their library, like, or go to a new place and visit the bookstore, or like the bookshop and stuff. Like, it's just such a like magical experience. I don't know. I love books. I have a bit of a book hoarding problem. I don't read as many books as I want to read, or as much, you know, and I'm still looking into the whole time management thing and all this these are new concepts for me, pretty much. But I do love books so much, and I find so much like interest and like comfort and like safety in books, in a sense, which maybe that's why I don't read as much mental health books as I once did back in the earlier stages of my recovery. But I just like a good book, and I definitely gravitate more towards like self-help, and like nonfiction I find is a lot easier to read for me than fiction, which does remind me I have to still work on a few other video book review stuff, but that's a separate thought. The Stranger in the Lifeboat just came out for me, but I have to still, I think, finish doing the spoiler version of that review. But nonfiction is definitely easier for me to read, but even fiction is good. I haven't read a fiction book in a while, probably not since The Stranger in the Lifeboat by Mitch Albom, but I just love books. And I just, the dream of having like one of my own books in a library one day, like, yeah, like, I could cry. It's so beautiful. It sounds so beautiful. But like, I don't know, there's just something so like transcendent and like transportative of books, and just, you know, getting to, I don't know, they can just, I think part of it for me is how I could read a book at age 20 and I could read the same book at age 30 and get a totally different perspective of it. I don't really go back to reread books very much. I do, you know, Ash, for instance, is like, Ash by James Herbert is like one of my all-time favorites. I love that book. Every time I see it in the library, like I pass by it, I'm like, oh, Ash! I love Ash. I want to reread some of the older books, and most of them I have, because I've had my blogs since 2016, so I have been more or less doing book reviews kind of since then. And it started off a lot easier than it became, but now it's kind of gone back to a bit easier. But I would love to reread and like go create a new review and then go back into old notebooks and stuff and then create that review from that time and just see the difference. But I'm getting off on book tangents. So back to this book. Back to this book where we're running out of time and I really want to return this book to the library and kind of just wipe my hands clean of it until I edit this video and then put it up. So I will say, one of the other things, this is all the flags, pile of page flags that I had for this book. It was a lot of them. I didn't go through every single one, but predominantly I'm gonna throw that away tonight and then I'll be almost finished with this book. So some of the criticisms I had with this book, and I have written them in the review, particularly the book review itself has a lot of the constructive criticisms, or critical corner as I called it there. But most of the criticisms were like how there was no index. She mentioned the index, and no index exists. There's a table of contents, but there's not an index. There's also a lot of like grammatical mistakes throughout the book, and she says that English is her second language, so maybe that kind of factors in, but it's kind of ironic because she's like, make sure you like check, you know, spelling and things like that in your book before you publish, because it's always embarrassing when a reader comes up to you and is like, hi, I found all these typos, and she has like multiple typos. Or like she'll say, instead of saying choose, she'll say chose, like chose a genre for the book, and instead of choose a genre for the book. So those kinds of things. But that was predominantly that. Let me think. Everything is pretty like header specific in a sense. There's like different bolded headings through the chapter. I also will say something else that I did decide to pick up this book way back when, the beginning of this year, is because it's short. It's only about 156 pages, and it just seems easy to digest because it just, you know, there's different parts to it, all of that. Something that kept me reading, besides the fact that when I start a book I have to finish reading it no matter how terrible it is. Eventually I was able to get myself back into it. It was a bit more inspiring. It was a bit more like, oh, creative kind of thing. My recovery reads report will talk about the creative cove. There were some things that I definitely, you know, again, it just, you know, got my wheels turning, and I was just very excited to, I would love to actually create a digital version of or find someone who can make me a digital version of Recovery to Wellness logo, because it would be a 7-color rainbow. The rainbow would be in the base of the lighthouse, and I would love to get that done. I would also really want to, probably by the end of the year, recreate my business cards so that I can, you know, network and stuff a little bit more freely, kind of update it with the new name change of Recovery to Wellness and everything. I also let me see if I can find. I also have in the recovery reads report, I have some of the discussion questions. I'm not sure if in my last video book review if I mentioned the discussion questions, but those are all on my blog if you want to go check that out. Some of them I include, like I just came across a quote. Do you have a particular writing space where you do a lot of your creative writing? And or do you have a schedule for when you write? Because mostly, like when I write a lot at work, really. Like I'm working 40 hours, but I do quite a bit, like in fan fiction stuff. Like I'll do it like during the art group. You know, if whatever I'm leading the group with, like, you know, there's time and such. If there's not a lot going on in the unit, I'll do it then. Or sometimes like around the groups and stuff, I'll do it then. Or, you know, if I come out of work, go to the library, I'll do some writing there. I don't write at home as much in a sense. And I pretty much handwrite. I use a pen and paper and I handwrite, and then later on I go and type it up and then post it and stuff and everything. But that's a lot of where my writing goes, because I could have, and then I do have, like, especially like fanfics, like I have certainly the posted chapters online, but I can't be at work like whipping it out like in the art group kind of thing. Like, it has to be on paper. If it's on paper, then I can read it and stuff, but I can't really work on it when I'm like facing patients pretty much. So something that it mentions in the commentary and quotes of my Recovery Reads report was how not including every detail when it comes to the publishing house and kind of making that book proposal. You can kind of just glean through, okay, for this chapter or this paragraph, these are the main points. I thought that was important. Also, oh yeah, I don't know if this is still true, but there's like a fall and spring time for when new books are sort of in season and everything, like when you can kind of, the best time to get the next book out. Like if I submitted or for the author, like submitting a book proposal in July so that it can come out in the next season of spring for the following year. It's always important to check out and be aware of and such. I also include the data that I track I'm starting new where I'm actually doing more of the hours and the minutes rather than, times of day and such, so that's kind of new. And those charts, the pie charts primarily, are on the Recovery Reads report. I felt like there was more. So the book review is number 10, by the way, just so we're aware of that. So actually I started reading this book April 2024 until about August 2024. I think it had it out for longer though. Okay, so now I pulled up the 10th book review. Again, I don't know how how much weight, since it is a 20-year-old book, I don't know how much weight or how much things have changed since then. I do find a lot of the times at local libraries you can find the readers, I don't know if it's Reader's Digest, but there's books of new books to come, or the new books that are going to be coming out and stuff. It's always really exciting. But yeah, I mentioned the thing about the rejection letter, so that how everybody gets rejected at some point, and it will continue to at some point in the future, from past, present, future. That was a quote from about page 133, if that's something you're interested in knowing. There's also a little bit of info for other books on self-publishing that are in the book review itself, if that is also something you are interested in. I took a lot of stuff out too. Not a lot, but I took some stuff out. Also, has anybody ever, if you also do book reviews and such, do you have any sponsorships or promotions or whatever for doing that? How did you get noticed? How did you make it? How did you manage to do that? I want to know. I think that's probably actually pretty much it. Yeah. I think I said, yeah. So I'll end this about here. I'll just wrap up 2 more points and then we'll end the video. That was this video book review, and we saw a whole time going by. Yeah, I overall, my thoughts for this book, I'm so ready to be done with it. I'm so ready to be done with it. I'm so excited to be able to just let it go and it goes out into the ether somewhere. And I'm also really excited for the other books that I have planned to be reading and reviewing and getting further into and doing that. I'm really itching for more books today, especially. I'm itching for it. So I probably gonna spend some time when I come home at my in-home library, my impromptu in-home library. I have so many books. I have 17 books out right now. I'll have 16 once I get rid of this one, but I have 16 books out from the library, and I'm actually figuring out, I'm probably going to try to get 2 other reviews done within the next couple of weeks so that I can visit another library and just kind of have that. But I'm not able to take out any books until September 18th. So, but, and, okay, I think that's a good place to end this book review book. Ending this book it's a review of a book. Yes. It was the story of a book. I don't know. I'm so tired. But thank you so much for watching. If you have any tips or feedback or questions or comments or books that you want to recommend for me to read, let me know down in the comments. If you do mention a book, do mention any trigger warnings that are applicable for that book. I also really want to get back into brainstorming the Recovery Reads like project that I want to do. I want to finish brainstorming it and then pitch the idea as a video for Recovery Reads, because I think that would be a really cool subreddit. It would be like an online book club, and it would have YouTube kind of stuff related to it. It would be a very fun, interesting thing, and can share tips of how to, like, you know, if you have mental health conditions recovery and you're going through that process, how to get back into reading, the different tips and stuff. I don't know, I think it'd be really fun and cool and awesome. So let me know, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and consider subscribing if you liked this content. And as always, stay safe. Much love and light to you. I will see you in another video, and let me know a book you are currently reading and one of your all-time favorite books ever. So, book I am going to be currently reading is actually called Winter Solstice, which is a collection of essays. And one of my all-time favorite books, I definitely have a special place in my soul for The Little Book of Huga by Meekwiking. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. And also The Ritual by Adam Neville, because I actually wrote that book down. It's very exciting. Anywho, thank you so much. Bye!
Guiding like a lighthouse to